Hi everybody, today's video is going to be about my handmade leather fidget cases. So just a quick explanation of my channel name. You've probably noticed it has the word crafts in it. Now initially I named it after my secondary Etsy store, Kalasana Crafts. But I didn't want to be misleading. I've obviously noticed that, I hadn't done any craft related videos up until now. Most of the things I've been looking at were curiosity things like fidgets and skill toys, so it became Kalasana Crafts and Curios. But anyway, I've been making more pouches recently because I've almost sold out, and I just wanted to explain some features and why I've designed them this way as well. Just a little bit background on me. I love making things. I love learning new skills, and I love crafts in general. So I've always loved drawing, sculpting, working with ceramics. I've done a little bit of woodwork, making my own travel mandolin in the past. I made an Irish low whistle in D from aluminium for my best friend because she wanted one and she couldn't afford one, so I made her one. And yeah, I love the satisfaction of making things and the end result. My full-time job is also very emotionally and physically demanding. So making things is like my therapy. Being creative is my therapy, so I enjoy it immensely. Now, I have a primary Etsy store for the musical instruments I make, which are ceramic ocarinas. So they are vessel flutes. My store is called Everett Ocarinas. I haven't made any for quite some time now because I'm still working on making my workshop perfect, because I've invested money in having a workshop built and I'm slowly getting it in order before I start using it. So just to show you, so this is one of my ocarinas, one that I actually kept for myself because most of the time I never kept any. This is the modern transverse style that was invented by Giuseppe Donati in Italy in the 1800s, I think. So it's red clay, the design is engraved, and yeah, has my signature and logo on the back. So that's a single chambered. I've also got a double chambered one here, so the double chamber extends the range. So this is in a white clay with a matte glaze. And then I have a little soprano here as well with a red glaze on it. It's very diddy. So yeah, this is what I love making and will hopefully get back to making in the future once my workshop is finished. And these are just these are older ones that I made. So I started making these in 2010 and started officially selling my work in 2013, as I used to attend the Ocarina Festival in Italy every 2 years. But anyway, ocarinas aside, because this isn't about ocarinas. So last year when I got into fidgets, I initially just sort of stopped buying them with my Lauti Shuffle and decided that I wanted a good way to carry these. Now, I'm sure a lot of you will say, well, you just carry them in your pocket, right? Well, any female, I'm sure, would agree with me that ladies' trouser or jeans pockets are terrible. They're shallow, they're too small, or even worse, they're fake and they're not actually pockets. So yeah, I hate trouser pockets on ladies' trousers. The last thing I want to do is put something like this, it costs a pretty penny, in a shallow or small pocket on one of my trousers, and for it to fall out, get lost, whatever. And also because of the nature of ladies' trousers being generally tight-fitting, and those pockets being so small, it can actually be quite uncomfortable to put something like this in it. And it's also not something I really want to put in cargo pockets on the few cargo trousers I have, because they're just going to jostle about in there, and I tend to use those pockets for larger items. So I wanted a way to carry this either on myself or in a bag. So what I came up with was this. So this was made specifically for the shuffle. And I learnt how to wet mould leather so that it was nicely shaped in there, grips it pretty well, the suede does anyway, and has a split ring so that it can be hung off a belt loop or hung off a bag or whatever. So the only reason why I used suede was because no matter what I did, I wanted to line the inside of the press stud. You can't really see there, but the suede completely covers the inside of that, so it's not going to scratch the fidget. Now, all of my cases are lined with suede in order to cover the backside of that press stud. That's something that, you know, will never change with my pouches. So the design for that case actually came from one of these. So if you play a string instrument that, you know, requires a plectrum, you'll know what these are. This is a plectrum pouch. Now, I play mandolin. I like to go to the local music shop that specialises in folk instruments and play all the mandolins they've got there. So I have these. I have loads of these with plectrums in that I keep in my bags, in my instrument cases, just everywhere. Like, I even forget how many of these I've got because they're just squirreled away in so many bags and pouches and whatever. They are really useful. Whoever invented these is a god. They're amazing. So I love these. So this is kind of where the idea came from. So when I got into fidgets this year, I decided that I wanted to make a more of an all-rounder pouch, as best I could anyway, but really it was designed for the Todex 3-click by Magnus, because I fell in love with it and I wanted to carry it everywhere with me, and obviously the Lauti case that I made was just for the Lauti shuffle. So initially I made this. So this is one of my prototypes. It's not the first one I made. For some reason I can't find that one. It will be in a bag somewhere. So this was the design I came up with. I learnt a lot along the way. It consists of one long piece and 2 tabs on the side, and then a split ring tab that's sewn on the back. Again, it's fully lined. Sorry, it's just got a bit of ribbon in there at the moment, and covers the back of the press stud in there. And we've also got a little bit of a cutaway there to assist in pulling the fidget out. So this fits the Todex, my version 1, but it's a little bit of a tight fit and it can be a little bit difficult to get it out. For me, at the time, I wasn't really going to sell them. So, you know, I was quite happy with it for myself, but I made some for my friend and her husband, sent them off, and even though leather will give and, you know, it still works for the Todex, I thought, as people really like them online, people asked me to sell them, I thought I better make them a little bit wider just so that they're easier to remove the fidget. So this is my version 2 prototype. So it's exactly the same except that it's got a millimetre added to each side. So there we go. Back of the press stud is completely covered. And that's a nickel stud on there, so better quality than the initial studs I was using. So that is one thing about the version 2, so I've got a slightly nicer nickel stud. Now I have thrown this around. This has been with me with a fidget inside to so many places, and it's held up really nicely. The leather's really giving, so it's softened up a little bit, which just makes it even better. And what I tend to do is actually just hang it off a belt loop, but you know, if I just want to hang it off a bag, the split ring just literally can hang off there. And I know that at least one of my customers does similar, so they just hang it off a bag. So that's the general idea. So, put my bag back. The press studs, I did have some that had stainless steel studs, but they were overkill. They were way too strong. They were extremely difficult to install, and they were just too strong for such small pouches. They were just overkill. So these nickel studs, they're still tough. They still take quite a lot to open. I don't think they're going to come undone accidentally at all. So they're good enough, and it also means that I can keep my costs down. So the stainless steel studs are a little bit more expensive. So yeah, I made these version 2s and made the version 1s that I did have available earlier on this year, and I had a sudden boom in sales, so I realised that I had to make some more, actually sooner than I initially planned. I've introduced some more colours this time, and I'll show you what they look like sort of in the stages as they go together. So this, as you can see, the tab's been installed, so that's the first thing that goes on, is I make the tabs first. They get sewn on, they get stamped. I've got my own logo stamped now, made out of brass. And the bottom press stud goes in. Then the suede is put on with contact adhesive. Now that contact adhesive is strong, but I don't know, and I suspect over time with constant use, and especially on the flap, it may come away on the edges a little bit, because at the end of the day it's only glue. It's very strong glue, but with, you know, constant flipping back and forth, I think it might come away, but it can be glued back on with literally any glue. Doesn't matter. I'm still waiting to see if that will happen, to be honest, so we'll see. So these are ready for the holes to be punched, for the cutout to be punched, and the edges to be beveled. So that's all ready. So you can see that is completely covered. The suede is about 0.7 of a millimetre thick, which is thick enough to sort of provide enough padding, especially over the press stud. So there's going to be there's no sharp areas on here. So this is what it looks like once the holes have been punched. And there we go, the shape's been cut out. I've beveled the edges and I've dyed them. So the next thing I've got to do to this one in particular is not only get the side tabs finished, so the side tabs that will go in here, but also just to go over the edges with Tokonol. Just to soften them out a bit. So yeah, that's what that looks like. So here's what they look like before they've been stitched. So I glue the tabs in initially, and they get clamped for about 24 hours. The glue just holds them in place while I stitch. As you can see, press studs completely covered by the suede. The only reason why I keep repeating that is so many people have criticised my work, saying that you know, the press stud is just gonna scratch the fidget, but that's not the case at all. You know, if people, you know, sort of paid attention, I guess, to my descriptions, maybe they would see, but I don't know. I just have to reiterate that, you know, that's not going to scratch your fidget, because I've already thought of that. You know, I do try and design my work as best I can, you know, to be practical. So I've got a new purple colour, new blue colour, obviously I've got a new red colour, there we go, there. basically I got the new red colour because I couldn't get this. I've been struggling to get this colour again, so I thought, well, the best thing to do is just to change to get the suede that I can get. So these have got to be stitched, and I'll be stitching these later today. And then the last thing that goes in is the top press stud. So just to show you, so this is one that's ready for sale. This is black. Black ones have been very popular in the past. There we go, there's a purple. So, and just to show you as well what they fit. So here's my wrapped in here, in my little green suede case. Fits very nicely, it's easy to get out, but at the same time, the nice thing about the suede is it does grip quite well. So it's not going to initially come out, it will eventually start to slide out, but there is some grip there. And that is a nice bonus, I guess, with the suede, is it will kind of grip whatever's in there as well. So let's put that back in there. Now most of the time I hang these off a belt loop on my jeans because it's easy for me to access, but as I showed you, I can just shove them on the bag. I've also got hooks inside my rucksack, so oftentimes I'll do, so I've got these little hooks in here, so if I don't want them showing, they can just hang in there. Which also keeps them away from my electronics. So there we go, there's the wrapped. So here's what it was initially designed for the Todex. My beautiful Todex there. It's getting all scratched and battle scarred. But still a lovely fidget, absolutely love it. So yeah, that's in a purple one. Obviously when I sell these they don't come with fidgets, I'm afraid. If I were rich I would do that, but I'm not rich. Oh yeah, and excuse the tape, I've got glow tape on my Magnus fidgets at the moment. Just on one side. Just because I'm obsessed with glow stuff. So there we go, all these Magnuses are 3 clicks, but I'll just show you, 2 clicks will fit in there just as well. They just sit a little bit lower. Might be a little bit more difficult to get out until the leather softens, but they fit. And here we go, here's a red one with the magic play. So the magic play's got plenty of space in there. That's actually quite loose because the magic play is very thin. So as I said, you know, these were initially designed for my Todex 3-click. So anything up to those, up to or less than or equal to those, you know, measurements of the Todex 3-click should fit. So what doesn't fit, I will say for now, is the Mott Rhythm and the Mott Groove. They won't fit, they're too tall, and where the rhythm is concerned it's too thick as well. So as 2 very special cases that I'm probably never going to make again, one for myself and one for my friend, I made cases for the rhythm and the groove. So that's these 2 here. So I'm not planning on making these again. They're just slightly taller so that they can fit these fidgets. I've got a titanium rhythm coming soon, hopefully, from Fidelis. So I wanted to make a case that would fit both the rhythm and the groove. And my friend loves her Mott Groove, and she asked me, would I make a case for her groove? So I said, you're my friend, of course I will. So I've made it as a gift for her, so she's going to get this case that will fit her Mott Groove. So I'll be sending that in the post soon. So yeah, I hope that kind of explains why I designed them this way. Slips are lovely. I really admire the people who have made slips, but for me, they're not how I would prefer to carry them, simply because putting them in a pocket is kind of pointless with the way ladies' trousers are. I've designed them I've designed them this way for the way I like to carry them. And if people want to buy them, then that's just a bonus for me. I try to keep my costs down. These take me a long time to make. I'm not really making any profit from them. I just enjoy making them. And what money I do get can just go towards buying more leather, more suede, more equipment, whatever, to make some more. So one thing I will address though is the shipping costs. So I am fully aware that the prices I have to charge for these seems a bit high, and that is simply because of raw mail. I tried my best when I initially went to the post office to inquire about how much it would cost to send these back in the day, and no matter how I packed them, whether they went in a padded envelope or in a box, they were still classed as a small parcel. I will only ship tracked and signed international, because that's the only way that PayPal's going to cover both buyer and seller if there is an issue and it goes missing. And also, I like to know where the parcels are at. I want my customers to get their package, and if there's a problem, I will try and sort it out. So that is my only option. And unfortunately, in the day and age we live in, post-COVID, with energy prices and fuel prices just skyrocketed, Royal Mail increased their prices, and I first discovered that last year when I sold some ocarinas, and I couldn't believe the cost. Now, last year when I was selling the ocarinas, I made the decision that I wasn't going to charge my customers the full amount that had to be paid for the postage, that I would front some of the cost myself. I value the people who actually, take a chance on me and buy my work. So I don't want to alienate people with high postage costs, but, I'm sure a lot of other makers out there will understand that your hands get kind of tied in these situations. So I actually fronted some costs myself last year when selling some ocarinas, and when I was selling the pouches and found out what the cost would be, when I went to the post office, I made the same decision again this year, that I would front some of the cost myself. I would not charge for packaging. I try and recycle packaging as much as I can anyway. Some of it I have to buy, but I will front that cost myself. So again, I'm not going to share how much the actual cost is. If people really wanted to work it out, they could go on the Royal Mail website. But I'm not charging the full amount. I think I had one person who seemed, I think from the Louty community, he just seemed a bit personally affronted that the cost was what it is. And, I had to explain that unfortunately it's out of my hands. This is Royal Mail, and some of that cost I'm fronting myself anyway. So I'm not making any money on shipping. I just want to make that clear. It's an unfortunate time we live in that costs are so high. These take a long time to make, these pouches. I was quite surprised that they sold so quickly with my last batch, so I'm hoping that anyone who still wants to buy one will be happy with what I put up for sale soon when this batch are finished. So I've got to finish these and these 3, and then they'll go up for sale. There should be about 2 of each colour available. To the people who have bought from me so far, thank you so much. You're amazing, and you have no idea how much I appreciate your support and your taking a chance on me, particularly with that shipping cost, because all of my customers bar one have been international. So they've fronted that cost without any argument or well, not fronted that cost, but they've paid that shipping cost that I've put up without any argument and haven't even mentioned it. I even had one lovely person who realised that I wasn't charging the full cost and, wanted to know how much the full cost was so that I wasn't falling short. I mean, I didn't reveal that. I didn't tell them how much I was paying. So I'm glad to do it because I'm just happy to sell my work if people want it. So thank you so much for my supporters. You're amazing. It really does mean a lot to me, and with your support it just means that I just make more. So I hope that anyone who buys my work is pleased with it. So yeah, thank you so much. It's meant the world to me, and yeah, these will be going up soon. I'll leave links down in the description, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye bye.